Hi, I'm Father Anthony Hannon from Envian Patches, and this is to prepare his way. And there's Vicar, just lying in the water. Like, what is wrong with that dog? I thought I'd bring you to this kind of wet area. I believe there's a natural spring down here, and if anyone's really good at finding the sources of natural springs, come on out. I can't wait for you to visit and try to find that. We've got all sorts of natural springs out here, and this could be very, very useful information one day. Anyway, in this video, I'd like to talk about how to be true to yourself and how to live your beliefs even in the face of opposition. And to tell you, to encourage you, I'd like to tell you a little bit of my story and some of the things that I have to offer. So, back in my early 20s, I think I've shared in some other videos, um, I was able to take a look at alcoholism in my family and let you see my dog a little bit. It's more interesting just looking at my face. So anyway, I looked at alcoholism in my family, and at the time I felt very trapped. I was kind of happy in many ways, but at the same time, I did feel trapped because I felt like I could not get on with my life until my family was fixed. And in particular, one member of my family who had a drinking problem. And so it was just kind of ugly a lot of times. And so I was kind of fell into the family hero role at the time, and I was going to fix the family. So anyway, I what I did was I was able to reach out and try to get some help. I reached out to a treatment center, and they said that I should come in and have an interview with a counselor, and then I got help through 12 step groups as well. But you know, one of the first things that someone in my position in those days finds out is that um, we can't fix the alcoholic. We can't make them stop drinking. This is a very, very difficult thing. Now, you can make someone go to treatment, and hopefully, if they get into treatment, they'll start identifying with some of the others who are in treatment, and the counselors can help them. But ultimately, you can't make them stop drinking. But anyway, um, I had to kind of look at myself. I had to look at the big picture and try to figure out in what way have I been a part of all of this. Because deep down, the codependent is the non-alcoholic who's you know, related or friends or whatever, some sort of relationship with the alcoholic. We kind of feel like we're responsible in some ways deep down. But I wanted to say, well, in what ways? In what ways am I doing this? So every alcoholic needs several individuals to enable them. They need one or two individuals to kind of get mad at, to get pick fights with, so they can get a resentment, so they can justify the first drink. Now, sometimes media or politicians or church leaders serve that role for them, so they just get that in the stinking thinking type of thing, and then that justifies them taking that first drink. And so that's one way that some are enablers. Another way is, you know, the alcoholic needs a supply, so they need a job or they need someone to drink with them or to buy them drinks or whatever, and they'll have their different ways of doing that. They also need individuals to cover up for them, to soften the consequences. So if someone, for example, gets pulled over for drunk driving and gets into jail, at the police station, you know, go bail them out, or you know, phoning the boss the next day, making up excuses and lies or half truths to family members why they can't be at social gatherings or whatever the case may be. So they need a number of people like that. And but here's the thing: when I started learning the ways that I was enabling, and then stopping, and then especially like breaking the don't talk rule, so talking about the problem, then all of a sudden, at least I felt like I was the lightning rod, eh? And that's always the fear, because boy, things are not working the way they should be. And why is it? Well, you're not cooperating anymore. You're not doing your part. So there's a lot of truth to that, but you know, I would see myself as, no, I'm breaking the cycle. We have to break the cycle. We need to break the cycle of abuse in the church and in society and all sorts of places. And but to do that, it means that people are going to be pointing the finger at you if you decide to do that. But I want to encourage you, everyone, to do it. We have to follow your conscience. We need to learn the truth, and then we need to change our behavior, because knowledge is one thing, change is another. Knowledge plus change equals growth, and that gives the best chance for individuals to be set free from their addictions, to families to be healed, and societies and even the church to be healed. So the way it works a lot of times with codependents, who like we think we're better, we think we know it all, we think we're the most loving and caring persons, but only to see that a lot of the loving things we're doing in our own minds and looks loving is actually just exasperating the situation and maybe even keeping them trapped. Many will say, oh, say about a wife of an alcoholic, say, well, she's a saint. Look what she puts up with. She's not a saint. She's not a saint. There's a payoff for that for her. She's feeling like she's a good person. You understand? Anyway, it's a whole other topic. But anyway, uh, once you realize what's going on, then we need a bit of courage to actually change and to operate in the systems in a different way. Now, I'd like to just jump to our COVID-19 situation. So, a friend of mine told me that I'm in 3% of the Canadian population that believes that uh, this virus is nothing but a cold virus. It's nothing special, and that all of these lockdowns, shutdowns, people losing their jobs, stay at home, all of social distancing, all of this is doing terrible, terrible damage to individuals, to families, and to our society as a whole. There's going to be way, way more deaths because of this than because of the shutdowns than the virus itself. So apparently in Canada, there's only 3% of us that see it that way. I think in the States, it's a little bit more, maybe 25%, and I hope that number is growing. But I had a chat with a friend not too long ago, and I got the distinct feeling that she feels I don't care about her because I see it this way. Like, she's older, but she's very vibrant, older person. But she is kind of in one of the vulnerable categories. But I really think if we look at the actual numbers and actual deaths, those who are dying from this are mostly individuals who are already in nursing homes. And there's the frogs, if you can hear them. So this hurts obviously because I do love her and I do care about her, but you know I there's not much I can do. But there's a lot of individuals in our society right now who are you know calling on their neighbors and saying they're having people over, or they're not doing, they gave someone a hug or something. I don't know, I'm being a little bit silly, but these types of things are happening, so it's very, very difficult. So there might be a price to pay when we're in such a minority and trying to kind of wake people up. Or but ultimately I am powerless over whether I can change anyone's mind. The best I can do, encourage everyone to do, is talk about it, and let's really look at the facts and look at the numbers, because this is a terrible, sad situation where everyone is caught in fear. But one of the reasons it hurts us when we follow our conscience, we're trying to do what is actually loving, but others see it as not loving and not caring, is because we do pride ourselves on being loving and of caring about people. So I just want to encourage you and say, you've just got to do it. You just got to live and be willing to risk being misunderstood and not liked by others. Um, and you just have to do that, because we know, you know, you're doing it for for what's truly loving. Not everything that is loving looks loving, and some things that look loving are not loving at all. So just something to keep in mind. So I just talk to others, try to find people who can encourage you. I'm not trying to just encourage confirmation bias, but we need to talk about these things rationally and try to help people be set free from the fear. Um, there probably will be a second wave of COVID-19 if we're listening to the doctors. Some doctors that I think are on top of this. But the reason that we're going to have a second wave is because everyone's been locked in their house. You need to get outside and absorb the vitamin D. You need to interact with people so you can build up your own immunities. And this is what some of these doctors are saying. And because we've all locked ourselves in our homes, this means that we're not building up the immunities. So it's, don't be surprised if there's a second wave of this COVID-19. Now, a lot of individuals, politicians, leaders, church leaders, maybe even, will be patting themselves on the back and congratulating everyone in society for doing their part and staying at home and isolating and everything like that. Because if you didn't do that, that means that it would have been worse, and all of these projections that were 10 times or 20 times what as the actual fact, that this would have happened if you didn't stay inside your house. And I think that's a whole bunch of baloney. And I heard on the radio some sort of story, and I didn't get it right, but it's where I got the idea. Anyway, so someone was saying, uh, I'm why are you waving your hat like that all the time? Well, this keeps the alligators away. Yeah, but there's no alligators around here. It's working, isn't it? Right. The thing about that is that whole thing, okay, if we didn't go into self isolation, it would have been worse. Is it's unfalsifiable, so you can't prove it one way or another. So um, life has to be a little bit of a risk, and yeah, it is easy for me because I'm out here, and who's coming to visit me, and everyone's afraid of the ticks, eh? So the ticks and the snakes and the alligators that I'm keeping away, or crocodiles or whatever. And so you don't have to worry about them. But this does not work for ticks. It just doesn't work, you know. But DEET works pretty good. DEET that works pretty good. Check out my video on my beard oil comparison, and you'll know what I'm talking about there. Okay. Anyway, look, keep up the good fight. Be true to yourself. Let's inform ourselves of the facts. Don't be afraid of learning. Don't be afraid of listening to others. Try to be compassionate for those who are kind of stuck in that trap of fear. And I don't know. The Lord is risen. Let's live our lives. May Almighty God bless you, the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. In Viam Pacis, into the way of peace. The truth will set us free.